All right, hello everyone. I'm Shark.
I'm Faulty.
I'm killingpepsi.
All right, and this game is Fat Man Go Fast. 3, 2, 1, go.
Jumping right into it. Here we go. Let's do it. So this is Action Henk. It's a 2D, 2.5D platformer. The goal is pretty much just get from point A to point B in every level. There's a lot of levels that we'll be going through, 70 of them. And yeah, it's entirely based on momentum. If you're familiar with like Trials Fusion or any of the games like that, very similar kind of feel where you just pick up speed throughout the level, get to the end as fast as you can. There's a few different mechanics. The main things that you're going to see are just like running, jumping, and sliding. And a lot of the speed tech in this game is figuring out when is the best time to jump so you get as much momentum as possible. So you'll see, especially on these curved ramps and sometimes on the flat ones, he'll be jumping right in sort of the curve at the bottom. And he either does that at the bottom going too flat, which will push him forward with a jump, or at the bottom of a curved ramp to start up a ramp, which pushes him uphill up the ramp. And both of those just essentially counteract the friction and gravity in the game and propel you forward. So this is Loop of Destiny. One more thing that's sort of big in the game is loops, and so we'll see one right at the end of this level. And an important thing there is that you can, at the very top of the loop, get a jump right there. Yep, there it is. And you'll see that he gets a really hard kick forward, which gives him a huge boost of speed. Definitely want to use that as much as possible. You'll see a few levels much later in the game where there's a few loops, and it really, really gives you a whole lot of speed really quickly. Yeah, we're sort of progressing through the first batch here. It's all fairly simple stuff. It's going to get a lot more interesting for sure later on. Ooh, missed the wall jump there. The way that this game is structured, or especially this category, this is called all levels. We don't actually technically play all of the levels, even though it's the name of the category. There are 5 levels in a batch, and in total there are 11 batches. Every batch also has a challenge level and a bonus level, but we don't technically count those as levels because they don't quite work the same. Every normal level in this game has 4 different levels, 4 different medals that you can acquire: bronze, silver, gold, or rainbow. And it's just a different difficulty tier, effectively, show off how much skill you have. But the challenges and bonuses don't have them. Up here, we're going to see the first skip of the game, hopefully. Jumping over this U-ramp. There it is, nicely done. There's a lot of those that we'll see. Yeah, that's a kind of difficult one. You have to time the boost pad, and actually, the jumping that he was doing under the bed is very important. If you just run under there, you hit a speed cap and it slows you down and you can't make that jump. It takes about 3 seconds or something like that, not too much. Yeah, so we're into the second batch now, which is something that I completely forget the name of.
Throttle Wide Open.
Throttle Wide Open, that's right. This has a few more complicated things. We aren't going to see any new mechanics here, just some different shapes of levels. That sort of upper route there is kind of fun. It sort of skips over 2 loops on the bottom. A few seconds. Fairly simple to do. Sweet Flow, one of my favorite levels. It's got some flow, as you might say. One thing you'll see a lot of, especially on these sort of flatter ramps, is double jumping. You can kind of tell, it's very hard to see if you don't know what to look for, but when he jumps, there's a little white diamond and a puff of smoke that appears behind him. And so especially on ramps like that one right there, you'll see a whole bunch of those show up. I think he did 3 jumps off that little uphill before the loop, which every jump that you do in a ramp at any point, effectively, it gives you more speed. So the more you can do, the better. But you want to make sure that you don't do too many and end up going too high, like in this case. We actually don't want to take that top route. It's a bit slower. But you do want to still do 2 jumps to get more speed out of it. I'm just going to be continuing on here. I think this is the 3rd level in this batch, so we got 2 more, and then we'll be experiencing our first change of themes, which is always exciting. Right now we're in the kids' room, as it's known, and we're going to stay in here for the first 5 batches, and then we'll move on to other things later after that. This level's kind of fun. It's called Pro Skater because it has skateboards in it. It's just a normal prop. It's a ramp like any other. Just kind of fun theming that you get in the levels. Pretty exciting. Close on that skip. There's a very, very precise trick that you can do to get over that last U-ramp there. Pretty much requires like half the level of setup, getting very precise double jumps in very tiny ramps. I think probably like 7 people have done it, 8 people maybe now. Definitely a low number, but it saves like 2.5 seconds. This is wall tricks. One last thing you'll see with a lot of these vertical walls is that we aren't going to run up them. Most of the time that we're going to spend is jumping at the bottom of the ramp and then progressing upward in the air next to it. Again, that has to do with friction, and just the fastest way to get over it is to get the lowest loop over the top of it as you can. So if you can get just enough speed to clear that without having to run up the wall and lose speed with friction, you save a fair bit of time. It can be like tenths of seconds. So now we're into the Fever. I love this music. This is my favorite music in the game. Very disco themed. A lot of these levels are surprisingly long. I'd say the average level length in most of the game is like 20 seconds, a little over 20 seconds. But this batch in particular is like close to 30, 28 to 30 on a lot of them. But a lot of this is just going to be more of the same. So I guess unless anybody else wants to say something, we can get some donations on.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. We have $101 from Rage Squid. Always great to see Shark in action. All the love from the Rage Squid HQ.
All right, so coming up at the start of the next level, we're going to introduce a new mechanic called the Spring Box. And basically, as soon as you touch it, you get a great amount of momentum in this direction. So it's going to shoot me up here, and then in a second, it's going to shoot me left right here. And we don't want to take this one because you spend a lot of time in the air. And generally, you want to avoid spending a lot of time in the air because falling is very slow. And now we've built a lot of momentum throughout this level, so we can just jump on the ceiling and do a bunch of stuff.
That's like 4 seconds, I think, saved over doing those 2 Springbox routes on the bottom. It's surprisingly simple if you've done, if you're familiar with how the game mechanics work. Fairly easy to get done, and it's fairly consistent as well, which is really nice. I really don't like this level because of that first ramp.
Yeah.
I feel like I hit it all the time. Here's a fun example right at the end there of very, very tiny ramps. Every ramp essentially works the same. You sort of curve up it, and then you're going uphill. You need to get your jumps for uphills and jump outs in that curved part. If you're not in the curved part, you're not going to get the advantage of it because the way that you jump is like the perpendicular direction from the platform. So if you jump off of a downhill, you're just going to sort of get pushed sideways and not gain extra speed. So in curved ramps, in large curved ramps, it's fairly simple. In those tighter ones, especially when you're going fast, which we'll see later on in the game, very difficult. Wow, that was a really close clip there at the end. Good time as well.
All right, so now we're going to introduce the hook shot. So the hook shot shoots at more or less a 45-degree angle in front of you. And basically, as long as you're in the hook, you're going to gain a lot of speed. So the hook is amazing for building a lot of speed. And there's various techniques we can do to increase the speed we gain. So as Faulty has explained, there's a speed cap while running. So oftentimes we'll start sliding just before we hook to remove the speed cap, and then the hook can just give us a whole bunch of speed. Right here, you just, if you paid attention, you just saw me do basically a mid-air jump. The way this works is if you start hooking on the surface that you can jump off, so the floor or a wall, the game, and then you leave the ground while still being in the hook, the game still thinks that you're on that surface, and then if you hold jump while you release hook, it allows you to basically just do a mid-air. That propels you forward a whole lot, and oh, that's interesting.
I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, me neither. And you're gonna see us use that in a lot of the hook levels to do the levels a whole lot faster than intended. Right here at the start, you can see it very well, because basically we're supposed to go down here, but now we just hook off the ground, and we just get a mid-air and jump up on the ceiling.
I think it's like a half second or something saved. It's surprisingly small given the amount of space that you travel over to the left, but it is just one of those kind of fun tricks. Especially, so there's an online multiplayer of this game, and especially on that level, you can just sort of get up there, and everybody's very confused on how you do that. It's fun to just watch people try to figure it out. Into the end of the hook batch, this one's going to have a fun part at the end with a hook around. You've seen a few of those already, but this one's got this vertical wall on it. And it shows off, not quite on that one since you hit the wall, but one effective way of maintaining speed with the hooks, they have a fixed length. So it's sort of like a rigid ladder, if you're familiar with like how those look. You can lose as much speed as you want, but you're never like going to just fall down randomly. It's going to keep you on the same arc. And if you have enough speed, that means that you can sort of hook yourself in a big loop and gain speed in the opposite direction. This is Spooky Times, one of the more interestingly themed batches. This is the first real boss level, I guess, in the lore. Kentani is the main antagonist, and he's the boss of this, or the challenge of this batch. Since this is the 5th one, it's the end of the first half of the game, effectively. There's no real new mechanics here, but it's sort of a reapplication of everything you've done so far in the game with larger ramps, higher speeds, bigger jumps, all that fun stuff. Lots of very smooth levels as well, which I like. It's really smooth right there, especially.
Right. At the end of this level, you're gonna see the real power of loops again. There's gonna be 3 in a row, and this is one of the sections in the game where you go the fastest, just in total.
You can actually go too fast and avoid. Ooh, that's fun. You can go fast enough where you sort of have like a magnet that keeps you stuck to the ground, but you can have so much speed on this last loop coming out that you completely skip over the magnet and just sort of launch forward, which is actually slower. Interestingly, you'd think it'd be faster to just keep your momentum going, but because you get a gravity boost from going downhill, it ends up being quite a bit slower. Here's one of those small ramps he's going to jump off of and actually hit that boost pad, which is interesting. Just you have to get some fairly precise timing on it to make sure that your upward jump lands you on the ground before the boost pad, but it lets you get a lot of momentum and make that huge spine in the middle able to be done in one jump, which is fairly nice. This is Tricks and Treats. There's a fun skip near the end of this. You can sort of see it in the background already. That's what I like about this game, is you can pretty much see the whole thing, especially when it curves around. There's sort of like a double loop back area, but we don't actually have to do that if he gets this jump. Nicely, wow, really nicely done. Nice. Very good. So yeah, he completely skipped over that loop section on the right by getting a good enough angle with that jump off the left side of the wall to just barely miss clipping off the top. So here's Kentani. This is one of the challenge levels that we talked about. Like I said, we don't normally do those in this category, but we have to do 2 of them to unlock the rest of the levels. So these work a little differently. You're not really going for a medal, you're just trying to beat the opponent. Turns out that it's really easy if you're fairly good at the game. It's easy to beat. I think normally we beat Kentani on this by like 8 or 9 seconds. And this is probably one of the simpler ones, really.
All right, so in the cutscene, kind of blows up the whole room, and we kind of go down with him. And we kind of wake up on a beach confused and wondering what's going on.
But first, Christmas.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
Suddenly, we're out in the winter. So back in 2016, I think it was, they released some DLC. It was just sort of added to the game. You didn't have to buy it or anything. With 7 extra levels, just a whole new batch, 5 regulars, a challenge, and a bonus. These levels are very different than anything else in the game. They were definitely designed at a different time, and I think by somebody else, or at least in part by somebody else.
Some of these are definitely done by an intern.
Yeah, they're a little not so smooth. They have some interesting ramps, though, that you don't see anywhere else in the game. I think we'll see one in here. Yeah, we will. Where it's sort of like inverted. Instead of being like a nice curve up, it's like a convex curve right there, which is just something very different to work with when you're playing this game. You get very used to, jump out of a ramp at the bottom on the right part of the curve to get the most speed. Off those, it's surprisingly different. We also go left a lot in this batch. We don't normally do that. I don't think I've ever seen you use a keyboard on this. That was surprising me the first time I saw it.
I always use a keyboard on this for the faster meshing.
I'm just never paying attention, I guess. That was another good example, though, of using as many jumps as you can in the curve part of a ramp just to get enough speed. Normally, there's a spring box on the left side of that start that gives you just enough height to be able to make the jump up the right side. But if you jump enough times, just off the curve, you can get that height on your own, save about nearly a second, I think, actually, not having to go down and up again. This is a fun level of spring boxes. I have extremely bad luck on this level. Up here, there's a spring box that pushes you up, and the 3 ones that hit you down, like 50% of the time, they just don't push me down. I don't understand it.
See, nice. Ooh. We got the tiny loop skip there, so
Nicely done.
we don't really feel like doing the loop, so we just jump through the gap.
Zigzag is fun. It's got 2 skips in it. We'll see what happens here. First one, fairly simple. Instead of doing those parts on the right, you can just sort of get enough speed and enough height. And then the second one, instead of doing the part on the left, nicely done.
Nice.
Just enough speed to not clip that corner.
That one's a lot harder than it looks.
But definitely, yeah. All right, now we're on a beach. We've made it. We're on vacation.
Well, I mean, the kids' room kind of got blown up, so we had to go somewhere, right?
I guess so, yeah. There are sharks in the water. Not this shark, but sharks.
I'm in the water when I'm not currently running this game.
Yeah, this batch has a lot of large, smooth ramps and then large gaps that are very bad if you miss them. They have very sharp corners to them with like no safeguards, which makes it very fun when you do it right, but also very painful when you do it wrong. I just hope it never goes wrong.
Right, I'm gonna attempt a little skip here where basically you wanna land on an edge of a U-ramp, and it's gonna look really cool if I get it.
Better not miss. Oh.
I'm gonna try this again.
I guess we can talk about resets while this is happening. So you'll see that he just reset the full level there. In this category, it doesn't matter what medal we get on the level.
There we go.
Nicely done. We can get any medal as long as it's bronze. You do have to get a medal, though. You can't just finish the level and not get one. So part of that, if you messed up very badly in a way that you can't finish the level, you can do a full reset, or you can just do a checkpoint reset, which puts you somewhere in the middle of the level. And it really kind of just depends on exactly how you messed up, which one is better, and how far into the level you are. But it can definitely be pretty devastating when you're 25 seconds into a level, you mess up one tiny thing, and then you have to do the whole thing over again, plus wait 2 seconds for the ready go at the beginning of every level to play. So checkpoint resets are kind of nice to avoid quite losing that much time. Losing quite that much time. Wave Rider, my least favorite level.
Really?
I don't know. I just know it's one of your favorites. So
It is
say that's my least favorite. This one has some really high speeds though right here.
Yeah, Fat Man go fast.
Indeed. Lots of boost pads.
We actually intentionally slowed down a little bit on this jump because otherwise you just land in this uphill and that costs you a whole lot of time.
If you've ever played the game Tiny Wings, that's
Yes,
what
I have.
That's what I first compared this game with. You want to land in the ramp so that you can push your speed up the other side.
Oh, as you just saw there, maybe, I just kind of got shot up at the end of this ramp, and that's not really the angle that the ramp was at and that I was supposed to jump at. And basically, what happens there is that we also, like in 140, have a coyote jump mechanic, but we only have 5 physics frames after leaving the platform to still jump. However, that jump assumes that you jump off flat ground, and so at the end of this downward ramp there, we just jump after the ramp so we can get higher up in the loop and then more speed going down.
It's the only use in this run, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm probably gonna get the coyote jump here and there if I don't just jump in time, but it's the only time we do it intentionally.
This is Feet in the Sand is the name of the batch? I should really know these things, shouldn't I?
Kinda, but it is Feet in the Sand, you got it correct.
Hooray, I'm smart.
All right, so near the end of this level, we're gonna do something that we usually try to avoid, which is a checkpoint reset. So basically, there's gonna be a very long ramp upwards, and then we need to go down a chute. And we usually would need to slow down a lot on this upwards ramp, this one, but there's a checkpoint right at the end, so we can just go up full speed and then checkpoint reset instantly and just fall down, and that saves a little bit of time.
Yes, one of very few cases where you instantly want to lose momentum. Otherwise, you're just gonna fly up. I really don't like this level either. I just can't.
I don't think anyone
rainbow
likes
half
this
the time.
level.
I've gotten better at it though.
It's also one of the hardest rainbows in the game, so if we get this one, that's gonna be very nice.
I think we got time for a donation now if you got one.
Yep.
Certainly. We got $50 from Z, who says, "Good luck on the run, Shark. You've done a lot to grow this community, and I'm happy to have been there through most of it."
Thanks, Z.
We can do another one.
All right. Got $10 from Tasky Nose. I remember Hot Wheels being a lot different.
I mean, yes, we do run on Hot Wheels tracks a lot.
I have something.
All right, Faulty, you want to go over the skip in the next level?
Oh yeah, the next level. Okay, I forgot what it was. Don't mind. Yep, it's all good. The next level is Leap of Faith. Good memory. This has the largest skip in the game, effectively. There's a giant left side of this level above us right now, and there's also some platforms on the right side, but we don't want to do any of those. Instead, we just get these nice boost pads right here that if you do effective jumps, especially off the left one,
Nope, not quite. We're going to do poor man skip, though.
yeah, so you can see a little bit of level there. If you hit those boost pads just correctly, you can just do this in one cycle, skip over the whole thing. And I think the rainbow medal level is like 24 seconds, 23 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think the world record time is like 11.6, 11.7. I think it's in the 5s now, actually. So huge, huge time save on that level. Great way to kill runs, though.
All right, so we're back to hooks for a little bit. These hooks levels are a lot more technical than the first batch you saw. There's going to be a lot tighter corners all around. Yeah, and they go over very quickly.
Yeah. Even though they're more technical, this still has a huge effect with the hook jump, hook slide jumping. You'll see it a few times, especially right here. Nice hook slide jump. Just gives you the right angle to get between the sort of corner that would be too high and that pillar that would be too low. Very annoying to mess up, but once you get it consistent, it feels really nice to do. Throwbacks are fun.
Mine an activity spirit level.
All right, so we're gonna do a fun thing coming up here where we're gonna get shot up by this hook a lot, but we actually need to go down, so we just do a really quick hook midair to cancel our upwards momentum.
Yeah, like I said, the hooks have like a fixed length as soon as you attach them. So if you have any momentum that's not going in the direction that the hook would travel, you just immediately lose it, which is surprisingly useful in that case, not in a lot of others though. Normally you want to make sure that you preserve as much as you can by either waiting to do your hook or doing it early. That last one is surprisingly tight, very annoying to miss as well, because you lose probably 8 seconds if you miss it, just from losing all your momentum, smashing your face into that floating platform there. Nice hook around, that was a good example that I talked about earlier.
We actually want the lower route here. It's a lot faster than the upper route.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's this giant loop that we really try not to do. We wanted to wall jump off that small little wall there, but we didn't pull back in time.
All right, Night Crisis. This is the last like story lore batch, I guess. Similar to the Spooky Times batch that we did at the first half. This is really just a reapplication of everything that you've learned now in the past 4 with all the advanced mechanics and more difficult levels. They get much harder as you get into this. We will see even harder levels later.
It's gonna be close. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, you want to cancel your momentum there because, as we said earlier, being in the air is really slow in general, and so we just try to cancel some of our momentum there.
This level is exciting because you can see that these have really steep wooden ramps. There's only 3 of them in this level, and it's the only time we're going to see them. But the first time, I remember I got stuck on this level probably for like an hour, having no idea how to jump on it. Turns out you just jump right in front of it and you magically slide up. Very confusing, and not something you see in any other part of the game.
This also has something coming up that you don't see in any other part of the game, which is F jumps. They're gonna come up here, and you see everyone on the first time just jump forward into the room, and
Every time.
yeah, every time, and you just need to turn around midair there. This loop is sometimes very trolly, but unfortunately it didn't reject us. Sometimes you just lose all of your momentum in it for no reason, and then this level is really unfortunate.
Yeah, this level's rainbow time is also fairly tight, so you can get 1 reset off of this checkpoint at the end here with this long jump. Also sometimes difficult to make, you see you just barely made it there. Very easy to mistime that one, jump slightly too early, and if you're doing like an all rainbows or 100% run, just effectively lose the run.
So here we go left at the start, basically to avoid having to do 2 wall jumps in this section. And there's going to be a cycle skip coming up at the end, where there's a whole section to the left that neither the rainbow medal nor we want to take, but the rainbow medal will need 3 cycles on this spring box to get up to the right here, and ideally we will only need 2.
Nice, good clip too. Yeah, I think each cycle on that is about 5 seconds, so effectively saving an extra 5 seconds from the third loop around the left side.
So this is the only level that has some trolls in it with the spring boxes. However, we're gonna skip all over those. So basically what we're gonna do right after this section here is going to be building up speed in this zigzag section. And then we're gonna jump on the ceiling here. And now we're on top of all of the ceilings, and it's very nice.
Yeah, you can see the spring boxes pointing down. Those are specifically there for people who haven't mastered the tap jump, or go too fast sometimes, and they'll just push you straight down into the lava. This is Kentinator, the last main boss of the game. Very difficult level to do, especially to do in one shot. There's also a giant skip here. If you can get 2 in loops, or 2 up ramps, nice, this looks good.
Yeah, that's
Nicely
it.
done. Very good.
So this just saves about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's fairly precise. It's definitely consistent once you're fairly good at it, but getting it in the first place is a difficult task for sure. It's very easy to mess up those first 2 jumps in the bottom of the ramp and then just not get stuck to the loop at all and be completely unable to do it.
So basically, right after this one would have been the credits, but we don't play those, so we just reset and exit out.
Yeah. So this is Back to the City, the final batch. Much more difficult than anything we've seen so far.
So basically, all the levels so far had difficulty ratings of either easy, normal, or hard. These all have the difficulty rating of insane.
There's a nice skip here that might happen. Let's see it. Nicely
Yep,
done.
got it.
That's another about 5 seconds. Nice clip there, too. I was concerned about that one. Yeah, so this whole batch is taking everything that you've done in the rest of the game, showing you a few new things in every level, and just expecting you to know how it works.
It's basically turning the game to 11.
Yeah. There's a nice 1 cycle here that could happen if he jumps at the right time.
Oh, that's a little too low.
Very close. Fairly difficult to get. You have to time the jump from that checkpoint on the left that he did, so that you just barely miss the corner, get enough downward momentum, and then can swing it up to the top. Still very easy to beat the rainbow medal in this level, as in most of the levels, really, except for the last one.
Yeah, for comparison, we didn't hit the 1 cycle. We're still several seconds ahead of the rainbow medal here.
I think like 5 or 6 in front of it, yeah.
So this is the fastest level in the game. There's going to be a section coming up with a lot of boost pads, a lot of basically in-loop jumps. It's just very fast all around.
I remember like 3 years ago, I could just never get up to the top of that.
It's really difficult. Like, that's way more difficult than it looks when you're first starting out.
Definitely. 2 top loop jumps there to get enough speed to make this really long gap. You don't technically need those, but they make it a lot easier for sure. 2 levels left. This is the ultimate test. Back when this game was in early access, this was like the final level of that build. It was then rethemed when they introduced this batch as a whole. Lots of very precise platforming in this one with places where you just don't have enough speed or you have too much speed. One of the more interesting things we'll see after this. Ooh, it goes close.
We got it.
This downhill here, you'll see these 3 flat platforms. It's surprisingly tight to make the jumps correctly there. You can't jump too late or too early, or you'll either smash into the wall or not make that last gap. We're also going to try to 1 cycle this U-ramp, not have to go back down it.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Got it.
And now we're into the final level. This one, first try, Shark. Let's do it.
All right, let's see.
This level, so if this batch is much harder than the rest of the game, this level is much harder than the rest of this batch.
Yeah.
These are called the Batman jumps. You can't just slide into them.
Sorry. We need 1 checkpoint reset.
You can't just slide into them and jump out of them. You have to slide into them, know when to stop sliding about 3/4 of the way through the ramp, and then jump not at the very edge of the ramp, but almost at the edge. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to make it. It jumps over those spikes as well, just barely make them. This long gap you don't really have enough speed for. This spiky.
That's never happened before.
Yeah, that's a surprising one.
That's not really a thing that ever happens, truly. Wow. Okay.
I don't
I'm a
think
little
it's first
stuck.
try. Might not be getting it. Alright. There's this little nub at the top here that he hit the last time. There it is. This spiky ramp, you can't do what you normally do, which is slide down the sides. This weird zigzag pattern here.
Oh, come on. That was a corner jump. Jumping off the exact corner.
Yep, and time's coming up in just like 3 or 4 seconds.
And time.
29:06.
Good time.
Wow, it's up 30.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's pretty good. I think the real-time world record for this category is like 28:30, I think is what you had. Maybe slightly faster than that. Obviously, different computers have different load times. We timed this loadless. The loadless time record is like 23:55.
Yeah, something like that.
We're both like...
All right,
lot
so yeah, that was Fat Man Go Fast. Shoutouts to all of the community of this game. If you really enjoyed watching this and you find me in this event, I still have a bunch of Steam codes from Raid Squid. that we can give away. And yeah, otherwise, I think that's it from us. Thank you, everyone, for having us. Thanks to my couch for the wonderful commentary.
Good run.
And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shark, for that action-packed run. Let's hear it for Shark. Come on. Seems everybody out there was enjoying it as well. Got a couple more Action Henk donations here. We have $23.55 from Becky Chan. Action Henk does whatever an Action Henk does. Hey, Sharky, always good to see you on the big stage. Can't wait to hang out with you again. Smaller than 3. And $100 from Caltech 9. I just had to donate during Action Henk. So happy to see it represented during a GDQ. And thank you, badBlackShark, for running it. Action Henk devs are the best devs. I love you, Raid Squid. Donation goes to Bonus Game 5. Got to give more chances to donate to this great cause. How do we can do that? For anyone watching from home, watching from wherever for that matter, Bonus Game 5 is the Pokemon Blue TAS, which is currently sitting at 11,500 out of 175,000. That one's still a ways off, but it's going to take a bit more work if you all want to see that delicious TAS goodness. So we have $5 from Vanessa46. This is all I can do until payday tomorrow. Glad to support GDQ and prevent cancer any way I can. We got $10 from Mooney222. 6V can be very vexing. Anyone would be very valid to void their attempt. Valor to the Valkyries running. Let us vanquish that vagrant and 100% the game. Gold star for trying. No, joking aside, thank you for your generosity, Mooney222. We are certainly putting it toward that. And for anyone still wondering how that's going, like I am, the 6V upgrade to glitchless 100% incentive is sitting at a little bit less than 2,000 to go on that. We can absolutely get that in time. Come on, folks, let's do it. Oh boy, we have $1,000 from Gravity Pike, who says, I think I will make things better on purpose. I think that just kind of speaks for itself. I got nothing to add there. We have $50 from Night Solaire 110. Staying home with my son to watch AGDQ today. He's 6 and he already says he wants to be a speedrunner when he grows up. Thank you for 10 years of the best gaming has to offer. Love to all from Spain. $35 from It's NZ. I lost a good friend to cancer this year. I miss you, Ted. Thank you to everyone at GDQ and all the good that has been done the last 10 years. We're very sorry for your loss, NZ. And thank you so much for your generosity. $10 from Syrinx244, and another $10 for the lovely lady of the dancing bunny hat. You make my day. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm. We've got $25 from Michael Lunderby. Gotta put in that regular donation. Go GDQ. Also, a one mind category incentive? That deserves some extra. As of course referring to the Super Mario World One Mind Hard Mode incentive, which at the moment is sitting at a bit over 3,500 of 50,000. That one's got a bit of ways to go, but that one thankfully is a ways out. So if you would love to see some One Mind, and if you haven't seen Mario World One Mind, it's an absolute treat. Y'all know what you gotta do. All right, we've got $25 from Trainer Joey. Donations are comfy and easy to make. If you don't hit that Pokemon bonus, I'll be blue. So don't be embarrassed and get those blushing red cheeks. Get up and yellow about it. Let's hit that incentive.